Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the Roofing It podcast. I'm your host, Armando J. Cox, and this is a podcast where we interview some of the greatest minds in the roofing industry, and we share it with you all. So today, I'm joined by Vince Lefton and Jason Roberts of the Virtual PA. These are the co-founders of the Virtual PA. Am I right?
Yes,
That's
you
right.
got it.
Co-founders.
Yes.
Awesome. And so we're going to kind of go into a little bit of your guys' background, and we're going to go deep into the virtual PA stuff because
Perfect.
I love the concept. You guys, I mean, if you listen to this podcast, I've kind of like already talked a little bit about what you guys are doing. I had this idea that homeowners can submit their claim through like some sort of online portal, and it goes straight to like an attorney's office, and the attorney picks it up and does an appraisal like right out of the gate. So like as soon as the claim comes in, but like what you've done, I feel like is a little more effective potentially than something like that. So yeah, we're
I
gonna get
agree.
into all that stuff. But yeah, before we dive in, I mean, so yeah, Vince, maybe you can give us a little bit of your background, like where are you from? Where'd you grow up? And where do you live now? Kind of stuff.
Yeah. Grew up in Florida, South Florida kind of guy. Been being a public adjuster 12 years in South Florida. Been handling claims around the whole state of Florida for probably close to 10 of those years. Really branched out to the rest of we were very South Florida based. We then branched out to Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, did some of the other metro areas. And then we just slowly built up a process-based business of handling, a couple hundred claims a month, month over month, and really dealing with Florida specific claims. A lot of stuff that happens in Florida can't and really doesn't work in other states. More on a daily basis, more of the daily claims that, kitchen sink leaks, things like this that people just don't think would be claimable in other states or really work in other states, works in Florida. Then got into hurricane damage. Irma hit. We did, a very good amount of Irma claims, did about 3,500 Irma claims, did about 600 of those in 3 weeks. We are a volume-based, process-based business. And so, that's what we've been doing for 12 years now. Build a process-based claim processing center.
Wow, man, that's incredible because I know with PAs, there's a lot of bottlenecks that sort of like happen, and
Correct.
huge challenge with, I mean, I can't even, I mean, I think that's why the industry, the PA industry has stayed sort of like small in general, and so, and so it's awesome to hear you doing sort of like the volume and being able to make it process based and kind of get to where it needs to be because it's such a huge underserved market. I mean, as you guys know, as far as like product claims go, so Jason, can you tell us a little bit about like, where are you from? Where do you live now? Type stuff.
Sure. I grew up in North Carolina, moved to Texas about 20 years ago. And I grew up in the Kirby Vacuum business. And so my dad was with Kirby for 35 years. That's what I knew. That's what I was going to do. Became a distributor, was with Kirby for about 6 years. I've always been in the direct sales, door-to-door industry. Stumbled upon contracting in 2011, 2012-ish, actually by accident. Had a couple friends of mine that was in the water softener business with me. They went off and sold roofs in Oklahoma City. They went bellied up in San Antonio. They had a great water softener business. They were smart, intelligent guys, but it's just business sometimes. And things happen. They moved up to Oklahoma City. And I started seeing just on Facebook. It was right when Facebook was kind of starting. And they seemed to be doing well, right? And so I called them in about 2011, 2012. I said, hey, man, I'm looking for a career change. I'm tired of door-to-door. I'm tired of selling a product and running a van. And, do you have anything for me? And his answer was no. And I'm like, okay, why? He goes, well, I know what you'll do is you'll come up here and learn from us and you'll turn around and open your own. I'm like, that's exactly what I'll do. That's what I've always done. I appreciate the honesty. And at that point, I knew something was in contracting. I didn't know what, but I knew something was there. So the next call I made was to my wife. And I said, hey, I'm going to drive to Dallas, Fort Worth. That's where they say all the hail is. I don't know any different. I'm going to go find a contracting company to work for, and I'm going to sell roofs. Okay. So went up there, met with a couple of guys, found a guy, and I didn't know any different. I would have definitely done a different guy. But anyway, started out sleeping on a couch, and this is in 2012 at a buddy's house. And I knew, he goes, my training literally was, here's what a scope is. here's about 5 minutes of what a scope is. Here's what our contract is. Go get them, Tiger. And my training consists of about 20 minutes. This was before Dimitri and all these other guys to learn off of. This was just, but I knew how to sell and I knew how to hustle. So I spent a day in DFW and it was brutal. Knocking doors in DFW was just absolutely brutal. So much competition. I'm like, okay, this ain't going to work. So I found a little town called Olney, Texas, right outside there, about an hour and a half. And they had hail damage from a storm 6 months prior that no one was working. So I just started knocking doors, and I forgot what the first month, but we just started turning in jobs over and over again. And like I said, I didn't know any different. Kind of got going in that, and the contractor I was with, he started making too much money and, bought too many things and ended up going out of business. But I sold those jobs and I had my name on those jobs. And even though he collected the deposit on them. So I said, all right, well, I'm going to start my own company. I went to each one of them and I told them the truth and said, hey, you can belly up, but I'm going to make sure that it's right. I can't promise now, but I'll get there. And I just kept working that little small town, and we started a company that way. And we ended up finishing all the jobs that he took and went through that and developed a contracting company from there, from door knocking. Now, once I was in contracting, did it to 2017, sold my business in 2017. And that's another horror story, but I'll keep it positive for now. We can go in that later if we need to. But sold my business in 2017, in April 2017, and got actually into the cannabis CBD business. Opened up 6 retail stores here in San Antonio area. That it saturated faster than I anticipated, so I had to get back into the contracting world because this is, this business, this industry is so lucrative, and it's dependent on storms and everything else, like everybody knows. So I knew I had to get back in, and I just didn't want to get back in as a contractor. And so that's when the whole concept of the virtual PA and Vince and Aaron and Richard and I got together and developed this.
How did you meet Vince and Vince for the most part?
We met. God works in mysterious ways, and
Amen.
It was by the grace of God, because I was at Win the Storm last year in Phoenix, and they happened to leave a flyer in front of my table where I was listening to the debates and different things. And I went home. I was processing some of this stuff. How can we streamline this? How can we help for contractors? Because coming from a contractors, I saw pitfalls with the whole process, not with PAs, but with the insurance company's process in general. I honestly feel that the way that they pay things on recoverable depreciation, ACV, supplements is by design, and it's designed to put contractors out of business because it forces a Rob Peter to pay Paul situation, and your AR goes crazy. And before you know it, and I don't think it was ever the intent, but I think it was the intent by the carriers. But I was going through all all the flyers that I got from the show, and I never stopped by their booth. They had a booth there. Never stopped by their booth.
And they were had a flyer PA there as well. They were already the virtual.
No, they were there as Bulldog. Bulldog adjusters at I believe, Vince, correct me if I'm wrong, you were there as Bulldog white label.
Yeah, so we were trying to do we were trying to white label claims for public adjusters, so this way they can have a processing center and they can handle more files. That was sort of the concept of having PAs handle more files. So we went to Win the Storm to try to get PAs to do that. Again, like you sort of mentioned, PAs sort of in the greater scheme of the market don't really think this way of taking a volume of files. So it was sort of a missed, it was a shot in the dark. Let's try it out, see what's going on, do a booth and see what we can pick up. And thankfully it created this kind of monster that we want to create here.
And so you kind of, Jason, you met Vince through Win the Storm, and then you kind of went to their booth as sort of like the white label possibility of working with them as a white labeled insurance or public adjuster.
So yeah, actually, they left a flyer, a pamphlet on my table that I was listening to all the speakers. And so when I went home and I'm reviewing all the stuff from the show, all the pamphlets and all that stuff, and I stumbled upon it, never talked to them, whatever. And I'm like, hey, wait a second, this might be the answer. And so I contacted them pretty much that day, and they happened to be at a conference in Houston for Tapia. And I called them and I told them a little bit what I was thinking. And they got in a car the next day. We met halfway between San Antonio and Houston. We met in a hotel lobby.
Mm-hmm.
I told them what I was thinking. They're like, yes, I like this.
You had the concept for the virtual PA already sort of like in your mind.
It came apart during Win the Storm. I was listening to John Hulentag and Steve Badger debate. I've already watched all their debates prior, so it was not a new subject for me. And I'm like, all right, I don't give a shit about the law because there's nothing I can do. My opinion doesn't matter, the law, the UPPA laws, because again, there's nothing I can do. But there's a lot of liability for a contractor. And I'm like, where's the middle ground? What can we do? And the only answer that I could come up with was have a PA shield it somehow. Mm-hmm. And then I said, okay, so meeting with Vince and Aaron and then being PAs for 12 years, they had the experience that I needed of the legal team. They had all the resources we needed to pull this together to make sure that it was legal and following by the book and everything. And then once we dove into it, we just started refining it, and got to where we're at today.
Wow. And that was about what, a year and a half ago, or at this point, or about a year ago?
About a year ago. Yeah. It was right in this time.
Yeah, that's right. Because Win the Storm was about a year ago at this point.
That's right.
Are you guys heading to Win the Storm this year? I'm sure you guys are, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be there.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm still.
Vince does everything big.
Yeah,
definitely gonna be there.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, so then
somewhere in the middle.
So at this point, the virtual PA is full on developed. You have your branding. I mean, you guys are doing Facebook ads, came across my phone recently. You guys are talking about it. We're doing the show, you're getting it out. You're looking to scale at this point. And is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
We're trying to scale and change how the claim industry and roofing industry, revolutionize the claiming process in the roofing industry is really what we're trying to do here.
Absolutely. That's what was kind of fascinated me, because it's totally doable. It's ripe for that kind of revolution, really, because the contractor is struggling. I'm a contractor here in Denver. I was telling Vince about that. So we struggle because we meet the customer, we help them, we kind of, hold their hand while they call in the claim. And then we meet with the adjuster, and then they dictate the pricing to us. We literally tell the customer, and they're like, well, how much is it going to be? Well, I mean, the adjuster's going to do that. They literally dictate the pricing to us, and we just say, okay. And so, so we're kind of used to that. And so however, when when the adjuster comes out and says, well, we're going to pay for half the roof. And then we say, okay, now we got to get a public adjuster involved. And so we introduce them to a public adjuster, and then they come out, but then that causes a delay. And then there's a re-inspection, and they don't want to re-inspect, and they want another, they want another estimate from a different roofing company. And then, the adjuster, has to kind of jump through some hoops, and, it gets into the whole delay, deny, defend kind of mode, right? And so what's so fascinating about the virtual public adjuster is you're just sort of skipping a lot of things,
all the bullshit,
the bullshit, basically.
Yeah. And
so let's pretend I'm a roofing contractor. Let's say I'm between 2 and 10 million a year, right? So so then I say, gosh, I would love to not have to deal with all this, all the shit, right? The jumping through the hoops with the insurance company. I meet you guys, virtual PA. This is an interesting idea. I don't have to virtual, especially because that means I don't have to necessarily you don't have to come out to the property and talk to my customer and meet with and look at the roof and do all of this, because I can partner with you. That's the idea, right?
Correct. And we started the kitchen table. Right. We partner with us. We're in the claim together. We're there. We're just almost to your support, your claim process. Right. And we started the kitchen table. We're not, midstream taking what may have been left over of and pulling back the layers and trying to solve a complicated file that didn't need to be complicated. A lot of times you start going down the river and you're like, oh man, I really screwed up here. I shouldn't have done this. This white water is built too rough for me. How do I turn back? Well, it's too late. You're down the river.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're either going over the waterfall or you're gonna try to get to safe land and make it out halfway through. But you got it.
Let's say, for example, they paid for half the roof. Now we're trying to fight to get the whole roof. They paid one wall of siding. They paid like, four things of downspouts. But the truth is we need like all the gutters approved. We need all the siding approved, and we need all the roof approved, and we need O&P on top of that to be able to do this job correctly, So
correct.
But like we start going down the road as a contractor, and yeah, we can do it. But man, the resources, the time that it takes, that takes a huge bite out of our profit. And so with you, we don't have to go do that.
Right. It's time spent on processing money. That's my big thing, is getting rid of friction. Work on things that make you money, not processing money. Processing money is just a necessary evil a lot of times, right? But if you're now spending admin dollars and you're spending marketing dollars and you're spending on things that don't really make you money and they're just processing money, what are you doing? You're just cutting into profit margins. That's all you're doing, right?
And the mental brain damage.
Fully on producing new business and doing our best to protect our profit margin so that we can offer a good get them restored the right way and not have to cut corners and that kind of stuff.
Correct. And but setting that forth in the beginning, and I know we'll get deeper into it, but setting that forth in the beginning is a huge part. It's hard to do it in reverse, right? Our whole idea is overall is offense over defense. Demand money early, don't beg for it late. When you
have a good relation, let's pretend we knew each other before. You and I have a good relationship. I'm working with the virtual PA now. We got a lot of buy-in from my company. We're like, okay, Mr. Customer, look, we are going to introduce you to this company. They're called the Virtual PA. They're going to handle the claim from here on out, and we're going to handle getting the work done. So we work with them in sort of a business relationship there, and we're going to introduce you. Is that kind of the way it works?
Yeah, so it's a referral. So it's like, here, Mrs. Smith, we're great roofers. I'm going to put a great product out for you, but we're not claim experts, right? We work with a public adjusting firm. They work hand in hand with us as a team to try to get you paid for your claim at the top dollar for your damages, to make sure no one's cutting corners and your claim is being paid properly. We use an app that helps us with onboarding for both our file and also for the estimate writing, the claim binder that we put together for these claims, that automatically gets sent to the homeowner. So our contract isn't being, have guys selling us. It gets sent to them in that email with an explainer video, 24/7 call or text, support of that contract. So you don't have to sell me, you just have to refer, and from there we file it, schedule it, follow up with the insurance company, chase the insurance company. But we move that whole timeline forward. Before we got on this call, we talked about it, about playing the offense over defense and moving that timeline forward. If you wait for them to dictate to you, right, like we talked earlier about then, here's the scope we're paying for. Well, now they've set the reserves, and what the reserves are, just so anybody doesn't know, reserves are the tax bracket that the adjuster has sort of put your claim. It's going to roughly be around $10,000. Now, to get it, if you're looking for $20,000, it's really difficult, because now I got to pull teeth and get someone above that desk adjuster to then edit those reserves, change those reserves, and that looks bad on both the desk adjuster and the manager of that desk adjuster.
So Vince, backing up just a bit, like when we make that referral, make that introduction, right? And then what are we doing as a contractor? Do we sign something with them that says, hey, we're going to work with you?
Yeah. So you'll do the same way you're doing now. You're signing that contingency agreement with that client, right? You're using the app that we use to scope the loss, scope all the damages, document all the damages. That gets sent to a strategic partner we have, and they put together a claim binder, which is usually 40 to 60 pages. That 40, 60 pages consists of full exact estimate with all line items explaining code wise and so on, picture report, eagle views, manufacturer specifications, all your municipality codes, all the codes that are needed for the claim. And then that gets sent over to the desk adjuster and field adjuster within a 3 to 5 day period from when you leave that house. So the homeowner signs, we file it, the estimate gets put together, sent over to the field adjuster and the desk adjuster. So they know from the beginning what we're looking for, why we're asking for it, and here's all the supporting documentation for it.
Vince, how much do you know about reserves? Like, do you know, like, real deep? Because I know kind of like what you sort of just described, right? Like, so the reserves are set when you call in that claim and the adjuster comes out and says this is going to be around a $20,000 claim. So the insurance company now
Right.
says, okay, we need a reserve of $20,000 for this claim. My
Right.
understanding is though is, and tell me if I'm wrong, please, is that like if if that claim is actually a $40,000 claim because they missed, a bunch of stuff or whatever,
Mhm.
that the insurance company is now sort of be stuck between a rock and a hard place, because the insurance company is like, man, we reserved 20,000. Now we got to go to like our back office and say we got to pull more money away from
It's not just pulling the money away. It's not like they have a big pot and they just pull it from it, right? So insurance companies have to have in escrow a grand total reserve, in every state different, right? So Florida was just moved up to 10 million. So they constantly have to have $10 million in an account sitting. If they go a penny underneath $10 million, they will be shut down, no
Well,
matter
there's
how big
another
they are,
detail
how
here as far as the third party, right? There's these like third party claim processing companies
right.
that have
And
to
they're and
also set the reserve, right?
right. They're setting the reserve for the insurance company. They're saying this is the number it's going to be. This is around the number. This is what's going to be, right? And then if they start to look bad over and over and over, they don't get renewed for a contract,
So there's some
right?
incentive there for that third party company to say, okay, we got this, we're going to reserve 20 grand. Now the contractor's saying 30 grand. Okay, we don't want to go to the insurance company because if we've already did this like 50 times this month. Now we got to do it another time. Like we're going to look bad. There's a possibility if we keep looking bad, we could lose our contract, huge contract that basically keeps us in
Correct.
business with this company, right?
Correct. There's a lot of politics in this, and a lot of money involved with both these TPAs doing these claims for insurance companies, and but even directly staff adjusters that work for state farms and the sorts that have staff adjusters, they can be fired just like so. If a guy keeps setting reserves wrong, and then the insurance company says, "Man, you just keep putting us in a hole," and they're gonna say, you're not doing a great job, and have a nice day."
Because increasing those reserves is such a process. I mean, so for them, it's time consuming, and that's time is money, right? So they're like losing money when
Well,
they increase the
yeah,
reserve.
yeah, it's time consuming. It's also an accounting nightmare, right? And because they really, it's just like an attorney has an escrow account that the bar examines that escrow account, and they can be debarred just for screwing that up. It's the same thing for an insurance company. So you can have the fate of your insurance company based on this one account and one accounting error, and next thing you know, they're shut down, no matter how great of a company they were and how large they were.
So as a contractor, we're always like, oh man, like they won't pay for O&P and they won't pay for this and they won't pay for that, and like now I'm all upset and everything, and it's because we think, well, the insurance is bad, they're just trying to screw the homeowner, right? But we're missing like so many variables that we just don't understand that are so much
Right.
deeper than like all this shit that we're just like, it's not just the insurance company is bad and they're trying to screw the homeowner. There's way more deeper sort of like dynamics going on, right?
Absolutely, tons and tons of dynamics. And what Vince is, when you're going on the offensive side of things instead of the defensive side of things, and if we're looking at things in totality, you're playing with how the adjuster gets paid is very important. How the desk adjuster gets paid is very important, because the adjuster themselves, the field adjuster themselves, do not get paid until that claim is closed out. So they take the path of least resistance. So the reason why they don't pay O&P just nilly is because the desk adjuster is going to turn it down, and there's no supporting documentation to support that claim. So what we do and what we've developed is be able to put it together to give the supporting documentation to say it's here, it's ready to go, so he can sell that to his boss, and they can sell that up the chain.
And does it help that the people sort of like, pitching the sale, so to speak, is an actual PA and not just a contractor? Do you think that helps?
Yeah, because it has more teeth, right? Contractor. Here's the thing: if you document it really well and put together the kind of report and send it to them, and you sort of set those reserves correctly from the beginning, yeah, I think that a contractor could do that. Now, are they going to do that every time? Then do they have the same teeth as a PA? No, you know what I'm saying. So does it put them in a better position than they are today? Yeah, for sure, right?
Why does the
You're giving
PA have more teeth than the contractor?
because we're licensed by the state to negotiate and work on claims and represent homeowners on their policy.
And the
I can
insurance,
negotiate.
the insurance company,
PA laws.
Yeah, I mean, I can negotiate policy, and a roofer can't. I mean, I don't really have a should they be able to? Sure, but I mean, it's just how the law states, and that's how our as a licensed, public adjuster, that's what it allows us to do. I can argue it's denied. Okay, why is it denied? Tell me why it's denied, and I'll prove to you that you're wrong. And it really, roofers by law and by contract can't do that.
And the virtual PA is doing that with these claims. They are fighting, they are negotiating, they're asking, why is this not approved? This isn't right. The one half of the roof cannot be done. You have to do the other half. You have to fold, you guys make the arguments that we make about folding over underlayment and, turning into shingles on the other side of the roof and all those stuff, the arguments that we sort of make.
Yes.
You can do that for us, saving us a lot of time to just go after new jobs.
Exactly
Correct.
right. Exactly right. And then
Correct.
we back that up with manufacturer specification and recommendations. So we have the documentation that we're sending over, like, you can't do this because, Atlas says you can't. I'm not saying that you can't, but Atlas says you can't. And so we're getting that bulletproof claim package put together. So when we submit it, what we want to happen is when the field adjuster sends it to the desk adjuster, the desk looks at it and goes, shit, I'm kind of trapped here. Let me take this to legal and see. And legal looks at it and go, man, pay it, because if not, we're going to lose in court. We want
Exactly.
Everything just all the way through.
I'm curious about, is the in-house billing a manager for roofing companies? A lot of roofing companies have these in-house billing managers. My feeling is that if a roofing company can convert to using, partnering with the virtual PA and incorporating it into the system, into their systems, then the in-house billing manager isn't really necessary. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I really just think the supplementing concept is sort of an accepted norm at this point, and it's, in our opinion, really sort of begging for money late, like we said before.
Okay.
It's if you just gave, if you think about it, what is a supplementing company doing? They're beefing up the estimate that the scope that insurance company wrote, maybe adding some scope that the roofer gave them, right? Later, 30 to 45 days down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And then they submit that and then call on as a representative of the roofing company and say, please pay me on these X items. And then if the insurance company tells them fly a kite, well, one, they're up two battles. One, the reserves, like we talked about before, but also there's no teeth. They can't tell them, well, this is not covered. Okay, but you should pay for it. Okay, but it's not covered.
Yeah.
You can't argue any scope. You can't argue policy. It is covered, and here's why, and here's the reasons why. And also, you're, again, back to the same thing. You're playing defense and not offense. You're not asking for it early. You're begging for it late.
Yeah. No, I can say, I mean, hell, I've been experiencing that my whole career. So
and like we talked about, it's an accepted norm. There's nothing wrong. And we talked about the reason why it's accepted norm is because just lack of better options, right? In the PA world, the reason why the majority of them are larger loss guys is because, there's, a million claims hit Texas in 2018, right? There's only 800 public adjusters. How are you supposed to get to all those?
So on the the part where, like, okay, I've always kind of said to guys, man, if we could have a PA on every single file, that'd be amazing, right? The problem is that, like, the PA doesn't want to work on every single file. It doesn't make sense for them because, a $20,000 claim that takes 10 hours to work, they might as well go work a $200,000 claim that's going to pay them $20,000. Then, like, with the same amount of time, then like a $20,000 claim that's going to pay them $2,000, which they then have to split, with their company or whatever.
Correct.
So there's, like, the business model is just for PAs. It's just not there to help the small claims. It's just,
it's a distribution problem. You can't get to everyone, so then you have to pick and choose, and you're going to pick and choose the ones that make you the most money, which I completely and utterly understand.
Nobody's criticizing PAs for that. I mean, you got to make a living, right? Unfortunately, the person that gets the short end of the stick is the homeowner who has a problem claim, who's in the 10 to 50,000 range. I feel like 50,000 or more. We have a PA. We work with PAs here who will work on those kind of claims. But when you get into the 10,000 range, you're just like, man, I'm sorry. Here's what you can do.
But let me ask you this. Even the guys who do, like, right, you have PAs. A lot of PAs that would handle 50,000 losses. Yep. But how many can they handle, right?
Not that many.
There's a scalability problem, right? So, like, because there's no processes, there's no anything, right? There's the artistic part of adjusting, going to look at every loss, getting every little final detail, meeting the adjuster. You only have so much time in the day, so you can only take on so many $50,000 files, right? So then if you're a roofing company that's only signing $50,000 files, you're going to find 50 adjusters to handle every single one differently, and you have different relationships with this one, and now that one's complaining, why aren't you sending me that $70,000 file? So scalability is a big issue, and that's what we went after PAs, to give them that option of doing white labeling at last year's when the storm sort of came up with, and then that sort of gave birth to something like that, with the virtual PA. But that's the issue. You can only take on so many $50,000 files. There are adjusters that will do it, but will they do it all over the state of Texas?
No, not at all. They just don't have the bandwidth, really. It's just not doable.
Exactly.
So with the virtual PA,
Exactly.
you have the bandwidth because you've kind of developed this system where you're partnering with the roofing company who can help sort of like gather the initial inspection and gather a lot of the information that you need using, the technology that you're sort of partnered with as well. And then you've also been able to not have to go to the property because you can just use the information that the contractor's sort of developing, work as a team. And then you can also do everything remotely. I mean, I'm guessing partly because the pandemic kind of forced you to go remote anyways. So now you've sort of perfected that remote sort of like positioning. And then you're also experienced business people, so you entrepreneurs, and you know how to scale a company. You've already done it. You've handled hundreds of claims a month, so it's kind of like it's a nice model that you've sort of are developing to help people who have those smaller claims. But that's not. I mean, is that all you're doing? Is helping people with smaller? Is that your like bread and like? Is that your ideal customer? Is like between 10 and 50,000?
All claims.
I mean, all claims are really our customer, but I mean, that's the majority of claims in the market, right? The majority of roofers are not signing $50,000 losses all day. They're signing 10 to 15 to $20,000 losses. That's just the facts.
Yep.
Right. So sure, I can handle a $50,000 loss, but it's the process isn't much different on a $50,000 loss. The house is bigger, but the $20,000 roof is still the same process. I still got to file it. I still got to write an estimate, put together a whole claim binder. I still have to, schedule the adjuster. I still got to meet the adjuster. I still got to, follow up with the insurance company, so on and so forth. Except, we all know the process. So, they can only handle so much. They can only process so much. That's just the facts, that the files are usually $10,000 to $15,000 because that's the majority of files out there.
And Vince, are you finding occasionally that when you start going through this process, the insurance company is like, wow, like, thank you for sending us this documentation. This is great. I love the package.
Yes, exactly. Because we've done the work.
Not send an adjuster. Are they saying like, can we not send an adjuster and just go off of this? Is that a trend?
I mean, we've seen it. I wouldn't say it's widespread where it's like, oh, this is going to be the new norm, right? We've seen it, and it's because they've worked on us on other files. They're like, hey, I like your report. You gave me everything, But think about a field adjuster. Let's go a little bit micro, right? So field adjusters might love it, right? Because I've done all the work for the field adjuster. Field adjuster has a report. I can send him the ESX if you like with the Xactimate file, so he can open up, slap his logo on it. Maybe take out a couple items, but the majority of it's done for him, where he doesn't have to. He's in the same boat that all these guys are in. They're in those same disaster zones, same in the same kind of arrangements, taking on 50 files, and then they have to write reports in a 2-day process. They have hard deadlines from the insurance companies to get these things done. They get overburdened, and here I'm handing them a file that's complete. All you got to do is basically maybe change it up a little bit so it's not so PA-ish, and pay it. I take what usually would take him an hour and a half, 2 hours. Well, now I'll take him 10 and a half minutes.
Wow.
So, they're going to take they're going to take that and think about it. It's a breath of fresh air for them. They're used to it taking them 2 hours. The file not ready for them. They have to create everything. And then, you don't know why. Hey, why didn't he pay for this? Well, one, he probably doesn't even remember the house. He's looking at pictures that he took, 2 days ago, and he's seen 20 houses since then. He's seen a million Mrs. Johnsons since then, and he has deadlines out the wazoo. And you're saying, well, why didn't you pay for this drip edge here, or this starter ridge, or this ice and water shield? Because he doesn't remember you.
Yeah.
So
once you kind of go through that process, field adjuster's like, you know what, I like it. It's approved. I'm going to change some things out. And then it's done, right? So I'm just, in the meantime, I'm going to get more jobs. I'm hanging out, doing whatever. I get a word from you. Okay. Hey, good news, Armando, we got, everything's approved. This is kind of where we're at. they're not paying for X, they are paying for Y. Is this going to work for you? Should we go back for more? Or, what do you think? What are your thoughts? We say, hey, I think we're good where we are. Let's go ahead and stick with that. And let's get them, get them picking some colors. And then the
Right.
insurance company issues a check, right?
Right. So they issue the check. I mean, just to get a little, sorry to give a detail on what you were saying, because we're like we partner with these roofers. A lot of times we sort of know what they want per roof, right? Per square. So if we're getting in that range where they're happy, right? Well, obviously we always approve it with them, but we know, okay, I'm not bringing a file to them where it's at $150 a square, because gentleman wants to get 250 or 300, whatever the number may be, good or what. Exactly, go before magic. So obviously they're kept in the loop and they're brought the offers, but I know where our partner roofers want to be at.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, because you seem to have a really good relationship. I mean, that's sort of the idea, is having a really good relationship with your partner, right? I mean, you're kind of in it together to a certain extent.
My mom taught me, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
And I'm the hand that feeds you.
The contractor.
I mean, you're the contractor. You're the one bringing in the business, right? I'm here to service it and process it so you can sign more business.
Wow, I feel so.
Exactly right.
I'm here to service you. That's the facts. So I want to make this an easier process for you. I want you to make you more money. I want you to have the ability to scale and not think, oh man, I need to have more estimate writers. I need to have more admins. But you don't need any of that. You need more sales guys selling more roofs.
That's exactly a simplified process.
Once they issue the check, that goes to you, right? With your name on it, usually with a public adjuster's name on it.
Yeah. So 99% of the time, insurance companies sometimes try to play games. They'll send it to the homeowner, but even then, 99% of those times, closer to 100%, our name is legally obligated to be on the check as a public adjuster. So we give our partner roofers some language, the direction to pay, that allows it's basically allowing the roofer, when a check is issued, for us to duly write a check back to homeowner and roofer. So we work on the mortgage process for the roofers and get all the signatures done, so on and so forth. And then we duly write back a check to homeowner and to roofer. So this way their loss ratio is greatly or completely gone.
And is it still like a 2-payment system type deal? Like, as far as you get the ACV first and then the depreciation after?
It's case by case. I mean, I would say yes, the majority are going to be that way until we make real big waves within the insurance industry. But at this point, it's on a case by case. If we send our whole report and they're like, "This is great," let's talk about settlement. Then it's just one check done, right? It's a lump sum kind of thing.
They say, send us a contract and we'll just release everything, right? I mean, could we send you a contract and you?
Yeah. So if correct. So that we would get that information. Okay, hey, State Farm said they'll release all this and all the other line items and everything like that. I just need the build contract done, and we'll obviously get that information from you, get that over to the insurance company, and close out the file.
And we would sort of have a payment agreement with the customer, because you're gonna end up sending those funds to them. So we say, hey, look, we don't expect all the funds up front. We'll take X amount of dollars. Let's just say half. You're gonna get, let's just say, a $20,000 job. They're gonna send you $20,000. I guess that's where it can get a little sketchy, because in this business, when the customer gets all the money up front, sometimes they're not as excited to pay us, all those.
Yeah, but your name's on the check.
Right. Your name's on the check in addition. Right. So it's Armando's roofing company, Mrs. Johnson, and now Armando walks up to Mrs. Johnson saying, "Hi, Miss Johnson. We're ready to get into a build contract. I have a check here ready for you to sign for us to start the project and start to get moving forward."
Wow.
So now you have leverage, right? You're not walking there. You don't walk up there with a check that just says Mrs. Johnson on it and say, "Mrs. Johnson, I need you to sign this check over to me." Right?
We're sending the check to your office.
Deposit and start your up.
Interesting. Wow. That can, and we don't have to worry about mortgage companies either, right? I mean, you worry about the mortgage companies. A lot of times a second check has a mortgage company, and you're dealing with that, and we are going to end up having to wait, right? We're going to be like on top of you guys, like, hey, what's going on with this mortgage company, right?
So yeah, we have a whole department that handles basically just the mortgage process. So once a check is issued, once we know who the mortgage company is, we're obviously getting on the phone with the mortgage company, speaking to the mortgage company, finding out what the process is. Sometimes it's endorse and release. Sometimes it's mail it to us, we'll sign it. Sometimes we want to monitor it, depending on the claim amount, depending on the homeowner's, mortgage status. If they're behind, they may start to monitor it. But we walk through that process to make sure it's moving in a timely manner and not really on the homeowner's time frame, calling their mortgage company after their day of work and, getting all the paperwork together they never understood or seen before. So because we do it every day, we expedite and move that claim, that mortgage process along faster.
Wow. Hey guys, I really appreciate you walking through this process in such detail. This is incredible content right now. As content creators for you guys, that this is pretty awesome. I can't wait to get this edited and get it shared. I mean, I feel like this is an answer. The small claims problem, problematic small claims are such a huge underserved problem in this industry and in America in general. So, I mean, I feel like the fact that you guys kind of put your minds together and are addressing this problem is really incredible. I'm super excited for you all. I think there's definitely challenges like with any business, I think because, like for us, we have a system that we sort of adhere to for the most part. And this means we change that system, which, change is always challenging. But I think if we kind of, can start the process at least with some customers and then, sort of incorporate this, long term, this is the way to go. I mean, it feels like a no brainer to me. So I'm also like a very easy sell for the most part.
Most salespeople are.
So cool. Yeah. Well, hey guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Any last thoughts? How do we get a hold of the virtual? Who do we talk to? Do we reach out to Vince? Do we reach out to Jason? I'm sure we reach out to your staff. I doubt we're gonna be talking to you guys.
Gotcha. So yeah, they can reach us at hirevirtualpa.com. And one of us will reach out and see how we can, integrate our system into their claim processing system, management system they're running right now, and see how we can help them, scale their business and sign more roofs and play offense over defense.
Can they reach out to you on Facebook, Messenger, that kind of thing too?
Yeah. Reach us on Facebook Messenger, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
All right, we'll see. Okay, so yeah, we'll see you guys later. Yep. I'm gonna end it. So thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. Take care. Hey guys, so that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you got a lot of value out of all of this. We work really hard to bring you as much value as we can, as much great knowledge as we can from the greatest minds in the industry. So I appreciate you listening. Please subscribe, like, share, comment, engage over online, and let us know what you think of PAs on the comment below. And tell us who your favorite PA is. There seems to be a growing industry. And so I'm excited that it actually is a growing industry, because now that just means more people can be helped in a meaningful way. So who's your favorite PA? Put it down in the comments below. Let me know who you want to interview next, and I will be sure to address that and get the next big guest on the show. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye.